My name is Elizabeth Neilson, and I'm the director of the Zabludowicz Collection. I've worked for the Zabludowicz family for the past 7 years. The collection itself is a contemporary art collection that is put together by a family, so it's a personal art collection. My role in that is to both acquire works with them, but also to exhibit those works to the public and create a strategy, an international strategy for that exhibition and purpose. Myself, I come from an independent curating background. I studied curating here in London. I went to Goldsmiths College, did the MA in curating there. And while studying, I did that part-time. While studying, I was doing my own exhibitions and also working at Tate Modern in their education department. And that combination of independent practice and institutional understanding, and also my role in the education department, was essentially kind of increasing access to the collection to young people. And I think that was interesting to any employees of Zabludowicz when we were interviewing, when they were interviewing me for this job, because I think they wanted someone who kind of would bring both of those avenues to it, so independent and institutional understanding. So I've been with the collection for quite a while now, and we've developed during that time a public exhibition space here in London, a residency program in Finland, where Koivu Zabludowicz is from, and a project space in New York. So we're quite active in many different arenas. The collection is quite wide-ranging. It isn't focused on any particular medium or type of work. In fact, we collect everything from works on paper to full-scale multimedia installations. I would say the collection is focused on collecting quality, so we want the works all to be very good quality, and that means that they're going to hopefully be important in the future. And we also, I suppose, are looking for works that speak to the collectors quite directly. I mean, to an employee, not to the market. So we're just in the middle of the Frieze Art Fair week here in London. So we've been to both Frieze Masters, the Frieze Fair Sunday, and also the Moving Image Fair. So we have been looking and seeing lots of artworks, and we have actually acquired a number of pieces. One particular work is actually by a Brazilian artist called Adriana Costa, and I recently did a research trip to Brazil. I was lucky enough to go to see the biennial and to visit a lot of galleries over there, and I saw some of his work there. And met the gallery, and they'd informed us in advance that they were coming to do this project. So we'd had some kind of chance to familiarise ourselves with the work beforehand. And when it came to it, seeing the installation here at Frieze, we in the end decided to acquire the entire installation. So it's an artist that's new to the collection, and also we don't collect that many artists from Brazil, and it's a different, maybe slightly different sensibility, although we have some artists from there. But we identified in this artist definite connections between artists here in the UK that we're collecting, and also from America and from Germany. And in fact, we could see this artist fitting in very, very well with the other artists we're collecting. Shared concerns over use of materials and sensibility to space. So we, in the end, have acquired quite a large installation by this artist. So initially that was by invitation. We have invited a number of curators to do shows from the collection, both here in this space and in other spaces, public exhibition spaces, the Baltic up in Newcastle, and also several other spaces. And the aim of that is really to show the collection as a resource, I suppose, as a group of works that can be seen in many different ways. After a few years, we developed that into an open call for curators, so what we call the Curatorial Open, which was an opportunity for international curators to make proposals to work with the collection. And these are all examples of, I suppose, different strategies to get the collection seen from as many different perspectives as possible, and to understand often how one work of art can be seen by different people in different places and can change during that time. And the collection's been going around, as I said, 18 years, so we're still quite young. The collectors themselves, Anita and Polly Zabludowicz, are quite young. They have a family, they have 4 children. And in the last few years, we've been discussing quite actively how the children would get more involved in it. I think there's a view that in 50 years' time is a long time, but in 50 years' time, that the collection would still be on public display in some way, and that the children would be involved in that. That's a lot of pressure for them, so we haven't, forced it upon them, but I've been actively encouraging them to think about the public display of the collection. In fact, the development of the project space in New York was directly tied into those. The children went to university in New York, so it seemed to make sense to have some activity over there and encourage them to get involved in that. So I'm hoping in 2013 we'll do more projects over there and that they'll be involved as a kind of assistant curators and maybe even curators. We'll see how they go. One of them is Roy, the eldest son, is graduating this year, so hopefully he'll be able to work with the collection a bit. The exhibition we have here in London is with a British artist called Matthew Derbyshire, and it's the 5th of our annual commissions that we've been doing. So every year we commission an artist to produce a new exhibition for the space. It's quite an unusual building, so we decided that having a kind of artist come and make a project specifically for it, although that project could have existed in other places and in other ways before, but they're involved actively in seeing the exhibition installed here, was very important. So Matthew Derbyshire is a British artist working predominantly in sculpture and more so in installation, and this show takes as its title the Tea Rooms, which is a reference to a building in Glasgow which was designed by Charles Rennie Mackintosh, and is the Willow Tea Rooms, which has become a kind of tourist attraction. And Matt was interested in the way that artists become identifiable with a city, yet their vision becomes somewhat disrespected by that city. So they become like an icon, yet that means that their initial ideas and intent are somewhat washed out. So what he's produced is an installation that looks at the way that, specifically here, property developers and urban planners have maybe piggybacked on artists and their creativity to produce and regenerate cities. So it's quite an intense installation. It changes the building somewhat. It has this enormous architectural kind of insertion into the building, and it's quite stark in its aesthetic, but I believe that it's a very clear and probably the most complete kind of exploration of that artist's work to date. So we're really proud to have commissioned that and been involved with its production.